All right. Hey, good evening, everyone. It is 7:04 p.m. We'll kick off the April 23rd, 2024 Mount Toursville Area School Board Work Session. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, you got it.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It is 7:04 p.m.
He's a robot, I told you.
As much as I love listening to myself, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
No more laughing.
Off to a good start.
All right. I think Skynet has become self-aware. That's what's happening here.
74.
7:04. All right, Brandy, roll call, please.
Mr. Albert, Mr. Badger,
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower,
Here.
Mr. Gardner,
Here.
Mr. Hausnick,
Here.
Ms. McCloy,
Here.
Mrs. Meyer, here, Mrs. Oberhand, here, Mr. Young.
Here.
All right, thank you very much. Glad to have everyone here. I don't see any recognitions or presentations on the night.
I have one I can throw in for you.
Yes.
Today.
I get a little shady here.
Mason Morrow, he runs a little business called Notorious Nuts. He competed today in State College in the Dream Learn and Pitch competition, and he took first place
Whoa.
in the state.
Holy.
So he's it's a pretty big deal. He really is a true entrepreneur, running his own business currently. He's an 11th grader. We are going to bring him here in May at the regular board meeting.
Great.
For you to hear a little bit of his pitch and mostly to congratulate him. Did a great job representing us and looked good. He had a suit and tie on at the end of the day. He came to visit me and just awesome accomplishment for that young man. His prize is a $10,000 scholarship to Pennsylvania College of Technology, or if he doesn't want to go to college, it's a $2,000 Amazon gift card.
Whoa.
So he was holding on pretty tight to the Penn College scholarship. So that's great.
And Dan, and I apologize, I don't have the names of these two kids, but we had two finalists that received scholarships through Lycoming County Republican Committee
Okay,
for 4th place and 3rd place. And I'll get those names, so maybe we
Great.
can have them come
Yeah.
in May too.
yep. Fantastic. Good stuff.
Anything else?
Yeah, that was the big news.
That's fantastic.
Some good news for a change.
All right, we'll move on to the public comment section of the agenda. This is for residents and taxpayers to comment on matters of concerns, official action, or deliberate before the board. We got anything tonight?
Ron Snell, Lower Manor Road. In March, the district hired SiteLogic to look at our elementary schools and help apply for grants. The public hasn't heard any update from or about any progress they have made regarding any recommendations or grants they may have applied for. Have they applied for a grant through the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Environmental and Climate Justice Community Change Grant Program? Have they applied for the COVID-19 ARPA Capital Projects Fund Multi-Purpose Community Facilities Program Grant? Have they applied for the U.S. Department of Agriculture Distance Learning and Telemedicine Grant? I'm sure the community would like to hear regular updates on their progress from the firm. The second subject I would like to comment on is the budget. Of the 8 years I was on the board, every year the budget was discussed. It was always about what was in the previous year's budget and how much needed to be increased in the different areas for the next budget. It was never about what we need to keep the district running efficiently. It has always been about how much more we can get. Has the district ever tried zero-based budgeting? Start at a baseline of 0 rather than the previous year's allocations. COVID and out of control inflation has affected an already struggling community. As a board, I would hope you take a minute of your time and think about those less fortunate than yourselves and ask for a budget that uses zero-based budgeting to meet the needs of the district. And I stress needs. Thank you.
All right, we'll go online. If anyone is interested, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we will move on to the general agenda items for this evening. Reading through these, I don't see any reason why we can't combine all 3.1 through 3.6 unless there's any objections on that. Want to take a minute just to kind of cruise through that quick and then I'll take a motion to approve. All right, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
I just have one question. Why do we use IU 13 for the Microsoft licensing?
They facilitate the conversion. So they do all the backend work with Microsoft directly to create the version type, and I believe they have the 51 across the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That they could get us things in.
Yeah, and I just wonder why we use 13 rather than IU 17.
So when it comes to IUs, they don't step on the plate. If there's one IU that's doing something and they're doing it wrong, typically another IU will try to keep it.
Okay.
So now I'm going to do it. And IU 13 will kind of know how software.
Okay, that's why I just didn't know if we were, I was gonna say IU 17,
Yeah,
the
we
local
use
one.
IU 16, IU 17, and IU 13 are big ones that I personally look at.
Okay, all right, that was just my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it for those. Moving on to the personnel portion. Again, I don't see any reason why we can't combine 4.1 through 4.4. If there aren't any objections, I will take a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
All right, questions?
Todd, I have a question on 4.3. The substitute position stayed long-term, but the dates are April to June. Is that considered a long-term position, or are those just the dates for the current school year?
More than 30 days.
It is more than 30.
Because it's more than 30
Oh,
days.
more than
it's
30,
considered-
okay.
Does it say what the long-term position? I didn't think it did. Why? So after 30 days, the substitute will be paid at the per diem rate.
Okay,
That's why it's important that it's approved that way. Because they're gonna bill in for the same teacher for that whole period,
okay.
to have that consistency.
All right, any other questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have that. Transportation, 5.1, approval of the following edition of the bus aid list for 2023 to 2024 school year. Take a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
Questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Well, discussion for future action items, the budget. Budget.
All right. So I think we're just gonna do a little bit of an update on where we are with the budget. We really have not received much more information from the last one, so I'll go over that with you with what we have here. Local revenue, we received the property assessment update. With inputting the property assessment update in, it increased our local revenue $31,000. So we see a little bit of an increase just based upon the people adding things on, improving their homes, improving their property. So that's good to see there. There was a question that came out at the last meeting, and so I just thought I'd throw this information out here. This is the new assessment totals that I did get here at the beginning of April, on April 12th, and this shows you each township, their total taxable, their total exempt. There was a question about exempt properties, how many we have. And here you can see that we have a total in the district wide of just over 7,000, and under 200 of them are exempt. Some of them are exempt, veterans exempt, some of them are exempt for other reasons, such as they are utilities. But we do receive other monies in lieu of that for most of those. So there are very few that are exempt, but I thought this was a good thing to just show you how many properties are in each township, the total taxable values in each township. So you had that, because that was a question. I'm not sure, Todd, did you ask that? Or I don't know, someone asked about the exempt properties last time. I just thought, since I have it, you know, I'd show you. So any questions on that? State revenue, we're still waiting on the budget to pass to update the basic ed funding and special ed funding. As a reminder, we update those once the budget is passed. That's been a past practice since before I was business manager, that we don't update them until after they are approved. So that is still sitting out there to be put in. Expenditures, bids just came in. They're on my desk being reviewed right now. We have a meeting on Friday to go over some of them. So is going to be worked into the budget after we get those all reviewed and determine the acceptance and where we're going with that. Some things that we're waiting on, we still don't have an IU contract. We don't even have a projection on the IU contract, so that's still up in the air. So right now, we're kind of waiting on that to see where that comes in to update the budget on that. Property insurance, this is an interesting one. So I received a notice in the mail on Friday, and Tom from the insurance agency called me today to go over it. And our property insurance, our deductibles are increasing, and they're not covering anything with cyber. So what that means for us, well, we have a cyber policy, so we're still protected there. But they're not covering anything over. So everything's been zapped for cyber in our property insurance. So now what we're doing is we're looking at our needs for cyber insurance. We do have a $1 million policy that is the lowest that they usually do, 1, 3, and 5 million dollar policies for schools and businesses. So we're evaluating what we need and going to start working on that. We may need to increase our cyber insurance. We're going to meet with them here in a couple of weeks to determine that. But I also talked to them. I know last year they said Little Sac Valley is grandfathered in on our current policy. But we're gonna go out and try to see if we can't get anyone to make us an offer, just because our deductibles are going up. Last year, no one else would write us, so, we'll see what they do this year. He said, well, sometimes they have a different questionnaire. Last year, there was a questionnaire, and the questionnaire asked about sprinkler systems. And it just so happened that was what caused an issue last year. I mean, hopefully it's not on the questionnaire this year. So we're gonna try it again. So our property insurance quote will probably be coming in a little bit later than what was originally expected, just because of, you know, what's going on in the insurance world. Our deductibles went up to 1,000 and 1,000. Which he said that was actually really good, because a lot of his businesses are going up to 2,500, 2,500. So he just said everything's going up. And they'll try looking for other companies, but there's not much we can do. So that's the discussion on the property insurance. Questions on the property insurance before I move on?
I have a question. So you say bids just came in. I don't know if I'm being slow here. What bids?
Athletic paper.
Okay.
Yeah, we bid out all of our athletic equipment and all of our paper
Okay.
every year. Those are our two big supplies.
Okay. And so how many, do we get 3 at least in from
No.
places or?
We got 2 paper bids in this year.
Okay,
Some years we'll get 5. I think 5 is the most I've ever seen on paper.
okay,
A lot of companies just chose not to bid this year.
okay.
So we send it out, we ask for bids. I think the demand is high for the supply that's available. So
Okay.
we're not seeing the bids we used to see.
And I just asked that because because I'm gonna go in my mind of the whole, some of the problems we have under ESSER not having enough bids. So when you guys say bids, I just want to make sure we're doing, our due diligence and getting enough of them, so it's not single source. And that's a
So-
gripe I have even beyond the ESSER thing. I had this years ago when we do projects, whether it be a roof or anything like that, that we should have more than one bid come in or one single source, and that's just,
So as long as we put it out to bid, we can't force people to bid.
no, and I get that, but I also,
But so we're covered.
right.
So-
No, and I
so-
understand,
so
I understand.
ESSER's, like, so it would be fine for ESSER.
And I get that being covered, I guess in my mind, and this is just me thinking like, okay, if I'm doing something, a project, or I'm bidding out something, I normally don't single source, right? So I would go, and when I'm doing anything within work, I look at multiple vendors and compare. It's my type A. So I guess that's the one thing that I just want to make sure that we're doing from a fiscally responsible part of it. And I get we advertise the bids, but I also don't know if we're being like, if you are allowed to be proactive. I mean, obviously you put it in the paper and I get that, but I guess in certain things, like even looking at this goes even more like the volleyball, where we got the thing from Danville and it was $80,000, but did we go and reach out to other places to see, okay, can we get different
Not
bids on
until
that?
we actually purchase what we do now.
Right, and
And
that's,
we
and
are,
this
and-
is why I'm just, and I just was asking because I didn't know what we put,
Yeah.
what we bid, this, you know what I mean, within the budget.
We are proactive. There are companies we reach out to that we know are, BSN Sports is one of them. which is
Right.
Where we got some figures. Those are retail. They're always less than that. So they are actually one of the companies that bids on athletic equipment for us. There are some other things we do, roofing, for instance, that's very specific. They're on CoStars, correct? So that's already providing supposedly the lowest possible.
Right,
possible
well, and I
price.
just,
And we only want, there's some things, we know the quality, we know the warranty that comes with it, and that's why we choose some of the companies.
I
that are-
understand, but the one we
that are
chose
better.
from McCall went bankrupt literally a month
And
after.
that was through the construction.
Well, and it's.
And it wasn't Trumco.
No, I know, I'm just, I'm just saying, I know, and and this is just all I'm asking, it's just that. If
Yeah,
we're
we're-
just making sure we're doing our due diligence, and I just kept seeing single source. And there was, in the years of coming, and obviously not behind the scenes. I just wanted to make sure that, like, especially when you deal with, like, I know, like, dealing with federal government and entities. They need 3 bids, like, if you go do work for Hope, or you go do work for anything, they need at least 3 to 5 bids. From contractors, and they will go out, if they only have 2 guys go, they will go out and proactively get a 3rd. And it doesn't mean you're taking the lowest bid by any means, you know what I'm saying, it's just.
Yeah,
So,
with the ESSERs that you saw, several of those were single source. Those were the only place we could get Chromebooks at the time. That was one of them.
yeah.
The
another one was
math
iReady.
curriculum, iReady, they're the only, you have to buy through them. And that went through a curriculum process. I think Promised Land Busing was one of those, which they're already a contractor.
Right, and
they
they
work
were
on,
not,
so-
yeah, and I understood some of
those
them.
were
The
some-
iReady was a little bit of a question mark for me, on that particular, but I obviously wasn't part of that, but, and I get, it was in the middle of COVID for Chromebooks,
Yeah.
and everybody was buying
Yeah.
Chromebooks. So, and I understand, but that's just me.
Now, the manipulatives for iReady, we did not buy from them. We went out and shopped that,
Okay,
because we could get rulers, protractors,
right,
or counting square. We
Yeah.
could get that from other sources.
Right.
But the actual curriculum itself, once the teacher committee decided on that, you're stuck buying from iReady. You can't go to Amazon and
no, I know. I
buy
saw that.
iReady materials, so I'm
And
sorry, I interrupted you.
no, but to add to what you're saying, like, you're talking on a major level, but even at a smaller level, at the building levels where they're buying plans
Right,
and things. So we have secretary that sits and watches. She knows sales, she knows when sales comes, and she compares prices. And then she works with Walmart a lot
right,
down in Lewisburg, and they'll go down to Lewisburg and just do a special shopping trip down in Lewisburg. And Walmart down there will give them a bigger discount
Discount,
even yet,
yeah,
even on their sales. So they do it, at a building level, they look at prices for different things, for the notebooks, pens, like everything. So they are constantly looking at pricing.
and I get that, I guess I'm thinking, when you said that, I'm looking like the bigger expenditures too. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
When
our-
it's X
we
over
have
X
to.
amount of dollars, right, and that's why when I saw the thing going on with Esther and it kept saying single source, I was like, what happened that we single sourced this, and that's, and obviously, Dan, I mean, like, you weren't in that part of it, but I just didn't understand, like, okay, that's, $200,000-300,000 that got single sourced and was just. I just want to make sure we're doing our due diligence from forward, so we don't get in extra troubles and we don't, you know what I mean? And I also want to make sure
We'll be
we.
gone hopefully after this year.
Right, but I mean, it also
But-
lesson learned, right? Like lesson learned of like, and single sourcing is also just sort of a,
It's not, I don't single source at home.
right, and then neither do
So-
I, so.
so, yeah.
okay, I'm just putting it out there.
Yep.
I saw it, red flagged all over, and I
Yep.
was just like, okay, and I just want to make sure.
But I will share, our paper bid did come in lower this year than what it came in last year.
That's good.
So the price came down in lower, even though we only had 2. We had one that was really high though. The other
Right.
one was really high. So, but yeah, we only have 2 of those. I think we did pick up another vendor on the athletic bid though. I think we ended up with 5 bidders on the athletic bids, so.
Okay.
So I haven't had time to review that yet. That meeting's on Friday.
No,
So-
I just saw bids, didn't know what they were, and I was like, well, I don't ask, I don't know.
Yep, there,
Right.
and like, we put on, like, the athletic bids, are like mouth guards,
Right.
like everything that they need for the sports,
Mhm.
pretty much, so that they're there, and we can get best price.
Right, and then you get discount, yeah,
So,
okay,
okay,
cool, yep.
all right.
So you know you can't get through without me asking.
I know, but it's good questions, because then everyone learns what's going on,
Right,
and so you're not just assuming it's going on.
right.
Yeah.
I was just saying, you think about other things we need. Brandy, could you explain some more about the insurance needed for cyber?
What about it?
Well, like, what are we insuring with cyber and, you know, what is all that?
Do you want to?
It's cybersecurity, so I don't know if you're, I'm, just want to make sure that we're understanding it's cybersecurity, not like cyber charter type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
So we got 1
we have
million.
a cybersecurity insurance policy, that, like you said, that is $1 million policy. And then on top of that, as part of our property insurance, they have liability coverage that could also be put against a cybersecurity incident of some type. So that could be like if we have a data breach or if we have some type of malware that takes us out of operations, but any expenses that could be occurred during that, we'd be looking at those two policies to help us out financially.
So do you feel now that the 1 million is sufficient, or from what you're looking at, you said you were gonna look at different things that you may need?
Yeah, I'm not confident enough to say yes or no at this point. I spoke with Brandy a little bit about it today. I would like to do some form of risk assessment, to get an idea of where we are, whether that's informally just with us, or maybe it does bring somebody in to help out a little bit. We're not sure where we want to go with that. But just taking, this moment to look at where we stand, what vulnerabilities there are, and then use that to kind of gauge what level of insurance we need.
How often are we doing that?
Well, as part of the policy that was just passed this year, we should do it.
And this all came about at what, 11 o'clock today, somewhere around there is when we found out, so this is
Months back.
all very, very, very fresh. And the million may be okay, but we need to evaluate and make sure we're covered, because if everyone's information gets stolen, or, you know, like, what's our liability? We have to really look at that and see. what we
Yeah,
need
on
to
the
do.
other hand, you know, you don't want to be insurance poor, because the what
Right.
ifs many times can get the best of you.
That's why we have to do the assessment,
Yeah. And
because we don't know what we really need right now,
what
but
are
it
the
is
dangers? Sure.
something that we really need to look at, because we're losing part of our liability with that come July 1.
Change, okay,
All
yeah.
right,
So,
don't kill me, because now we're in this. So what's part of the cyber charter cost reduction discussion?
that's the next I was leaving that for last.
All right,
You ready to move on?
I am, I'm ready for that.
Everyone else ready to move on? Okay. We brought it up a little bit at the last meeting. And then I had a few other meetings with other school district business managers. Everyone is seeing the same trend we are. So I was worried it was us, what's going on? Yeah, everyone is seeing that kids are still going to cyber charter schools. We're not having the drawback from COVID. So different things that other schools are working on is to have their own in-house program to try to get some of these kids back in. And Mr. Chamino and myself discussed at the last meeting a little bit, and we've been discussing it a little bit about hiring someone. We have someone that we think would be great at it as a contract based. So to bring back some of these kids and to pay for that contract, we would have to have 6 kids back. So we've been looking into it, and we think it's a good idea, and we think we can get 6 kids back.
It was 4 kids at 180 days extending this person's current contract. But they're gonna have to do some recruiting in the summer, so
Yes.
we added some days to that, which takes it to 6 kids that they would have to bring back. There's one that is in the process of leaving end of their junior year to finish their senior year in cyber. They committed willingness to stay if we go that route. So I'm confident we can get at least 6, there's 75 on that list. I'm pretty confident the odds are good, we can get 6 of those back to cover this. So it's up for discussion, if that's a direction we want to go. I don't see, and the person she served as a counselor here for us. She's a retired counselor, so she has a counseling background, and certainly can continue to work with this group of kids as well to finish them out. I think the draw between dual enrollment and our diploma is there, with her coaching parents and kids through this, that we can get that back and then some. And we're, based on what she brought back, from some of the other districts, per capita, so to speak, we're not as bad as some other places in terms of students that have left, for cyber. The other concern is the building that's been purchased behind Chick Elementary. They're doing something with that building. They have over 9,000, I think it's over 9,600 now, students enrolled in CCA. They have a goal of being the largest school provider in Pennsylvania, and that means a combination of in-person and cyber. So CCA, so to ignore that happening in our backyard, I don't think is a wise decision. We already see numbers that kind of point that we better respond to this. But really it's up to you guys, and there's a chance. She only gets 5 back, we've got to pay something.
But how does that,
This is,
how does that do anything for you? If you get 6 kids to come back, if you get 10 kids to come back, and you still have 70 kids that are gonna go into the cyber charter program, that you're still going backwards.
We need to stop the bleed.
Yes, because they're gonna continue to go.
right, but the thing is to Dan's point is you're breaking even at 6 kids, right? So you have one person. And so I'm trying to understand, does she do online learning? Does she do hybrid? I'm trying to just, I guess my question is we need to offer some form of like online curriculum or hybrid, which is what CCA is going to do in the Liberty Building. They're gutting, redoing, and putting in a hybrid school. So they're going to be able to offer in class. So I guess my question is is this person able to do that at scale? And I guess this is also why I had to sort of ask the IU question, because that may be able to do at scale where you bring the kids in and they have some of the teachers out there. Like, I'm just trying to understand is that we have 70 kids out there, bringing 6 back is a start, and I get that, but we
I say
need to
6
be
to
able.
pay for. We'll get more. 6 is to cover.
Right, but I guess
Cover that.
I'm also looking long-term, right? So I also would like, if we're doing this, to make sure that there's a projection that this is something that 5 years from now, we're still, because this isn't going away. They just invested a lot of money in that building. So this is not going away. So we need to figure out how we're going to combat.
So
Okay.
who actually
So-
funding that building there? Does anybody know? Who funded it?
CCA.
Commonwealth,
Where are they getting their money?
they
They're a
bought it.
for-profit. They get
Yeah,
it
they're
from school
for-profit.
districts. They're for-profit.
Yeah, we paid for that, part of it.
So it's like,
If
I
you
mean,
wanna know.
I'm jumping the gun here, but when I look at the village history,
Well, let's finish this
well, it kind of ties into what.
But-
what you're Okay, I'm not gonna.
I'd like to answer her question,
Well, go ahead.
and then that will tie back.
Circle
Okay,
back.
this is, it'll tie back. But to answer your question for long term, in talking about doing a contract with this person, we were talking about a 1 year with the option of renewing for a second year. If we are successful in the first year, we would obviously want to continue that with the second year, while also starting to look at someone to replace. And that goes into that position. Now, as far as being a hybrid, she would be in a classroom. So students would have the opportunity to come in, work in here, get supports that they need from teachers in here. And she would organize all that for the students.
So how many kids can she handle? That's another question. So
We're
she's
buying
4 right
curriculum.
now.
And the teacher comes with, we would be buying from Pennsylvania Cyber Charter. We have an agreement with them to purchase. It's actually,
So,
that arm of PA Cyber is called Lincoln Interactive. We would buy that curriculum from them. That comes with the teacher. She's only there to support,
And make
monitor, and maintain. We will have kids that come in for physical classes. They might want their sciences here. They may want to do the Geisinger program, but want their English online.
right.
So it will be student driven how their programming looks.
Okay,
And to go through the IU, you're gonna spend $5,000 a year just to get in there and then purchase their online courses. So I would prefer to skip the middleman. Don't spend that 5,000 when we have access to Lincoln Interactive's full,
so how
catalog
much
of
is,
courses.
how much is Lincoln and?
they're $150 a course
Per
Okay.
student, per student.
per student.
150 a course
Yep.
per student. And, but how much are we paying this person?
We would have to come up with our contract.
Yeah. it's a
Okay,
big-
so
big
that,
deal.
so would we, if we, and I'm just looking at all options here. So if we go through something like, and I'm just gonna throw the IU out there again. We go through something at IU, we pay 5K, right?
And then we
And
still
we
need
still have
somebody
a
to
person.
manage. Yep.
Okay. And we still need.
Yeah, regardless of where you go, you need somebody to manage, to be that in between the schools.
And we don't
And,
have
yeah, liaison.
anyone here who, as a teacher already, that can manage, that has interest in doing it?
Not with those kind of numbers. Not with a teaching load and.
I know I'm saying that would want to switch from teaching.
But then you'd have to hire a whole new teacher, and that's even more expensive than,
Okay, so, all right,
because the contract doesn't include insurance or anything like that. It's a contract. It's not
Yeah, it's a per diem rate, there's no benefits.
it's no it's a no benefit position. So you're just
okay,
playing-
Dane, you go with yours, because
Okay.
mine is still in spinning wheels in my head.
Okay, so you want me to move ahead to the next slide? Okay,
You are.
Well, no.
No, you are.
No,
You-
go ahead, Albert.
How did
Say
it
what
tie
you
to,
Like you wait.
did
okay,
it tie
well,
together?
this is, I gotta skip ahead of you then, because that's
Randy,
you more, yes.
Randy, you were saying that initially it's gonna be 1 year, and then if it's successful, then I'll bump it up, we renew it for another year. I think kids are gonna want a more longer term goal than just 1 year, and maybe if then there's the second year. That's not really a guarantee that they're gonna be able to, and motivation for them to stay in it more than 1 year, and if it's not gonna be successful,
So
they may not come back at
so
all.
But we
we
don't
could
have a
do,
guarantee.
we could
either.
do a long term,
Yeah,
a
we-
longer term than that, that's perfectly fine, but the board then has to commit to paying that cost, even if we can't get kids to come back.
Yeah, I want to do
As
like a
long
2
as
or
long as
3
the
year.
kids understand that, but I'm
I don't think the
concerned
kids are
that
really gonna-
that
They're
the
not
kid.
gonna know that.
Oh, okay.
Right. We're gonna provide it, try it. Hope it works.
Yeah, we're not cutting edge on this. Other districts are doing this.
Oh, yeah.
We wouldn't be.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We're probably
every-
We're a
behind.
little bit
Everyone
behind.
is
I would have to
bringing
say,
in-
if you want to
Everyone
call
is hiring
it. We are behind.
someone to manage their cyber and trying to get kids back. That's
That's the game, right?
yeah, it's like, how do we get them back? You know, we bring someone in to manage it. It's now, I think one district, I think it was South Williamsport. They have, teachers actually teaching like a class and virtually at the same time. But I don't know how that would work here. They were the only ones doing that. So,
Well, I think this is better than what we're currently doing, which is nothing. We would learn to do that as we progressed and got more students in, more experience, more seasoned.
so.
I usually don't say a whole lot.
We prefer it that way.
Yeah, well, you may not prefer that. Out of the 70, how many of them are special needs? Any of them?
20, 22, 23
That was a good question.
is 23. I think I provided that.
Yeah, I know you provided,
On-
but I don't have the paper.
Yeah,
from me.
Okay, I'm just trying to think like, it's either like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
22.
got- So on a roundabout figure, you got the students that are out, they're regular students.
No, because 70 are regular and there's 23, because it was like 107 are all together. I thought that.
It's, I got it right here. It's
You got it,
50,
okay.
53 are regular ed, 22 are special.
So, but a lot of those ones that are special ed in that 22 are, students with speech. So a lot of districts were saying kids will go to cyber charter school and all of a sudden they'll be getting an IEP for speech. And that's so that they can get or, so, and we could, offer speech services here if they needed the speech services in our library.
What has caused the loss of students going south? Besides COVID?
Variety of reasons.
I
COVID
mean,
was
we
a
look
big
at
one.
it, fixing the problem with.
The socialization.
I
The socialization.
mean, I got 2 nieces that left the school district and went to cyber for a very specific reason. And the district never even shuddered to think about trying to fix the problem. I mean, we're throwing money out at this other stuff to fix a problem that's not really being looked at. And yet you want kids to come back and go through a different program instead of coming directly to the school. I mean, you're just throwing money at the problem instead of fixing it.
Well, I think
I'm
that
sorry,
it's-
that's
there's
how
a
I feel.
few different problems, maybe. I mean, I can't say what your niece's specific problem was, but maybe it's that problem and another problem. Some of them can be dealt with, some of them might not.
I mean,
So if we have a dwindling, student, like if they keep disenrolling,
There's a problem that has to be fixed.
if they keep disenrolling, the numbers get bigger, then why invest any more time in trying to get more to come back? Because more kids are gonna go to cyber, so we're gonna start this program and get more kids to come back, like. Until we see a reversal in enrollment, I would say table it.
It's
my
gonna be
opinion.
a snowball effect.
Well, the school districts, are they in that average range of students in cyber?
So
Along with
I'm not gonna name school districts, but the school,
other school districts.
they're have lower student population and have just as many or more kids in
Okay.
cyber.
So from that standpoint, looking at from that angle, it's not just this district, it's straight across the board. And like I say, I've been on this board for 6.5 years. And it's been the #1 issue. It's been the problem. And I can tell you from my own thoughts on it is that with our society today and the way people are, I'd say probably a good majority of the number that you're talking about are probably people who aren't involved as much. People who maybe don't have the same ideas that other people have. I just can't blurt it out, but at the end of the day, I think it's an ambition thing. I think it's a desire to learn it's, a weakness on other people's parts, or they just find it an easy way out to just do what they want to do and don't have to really do the work. Look at the graduation rate of these kids that are in cyber charter schools. It's ridiculous.
CCA is 62%.
62%. I mean, and you keep, so when we all sit here and talk about fixing it and it's a problem and we gotta do this and we gotta do that. Right there says it all to me. 62% graduation rate. What is what is our district's graduation rate?
Or we were at 92, I think, last year.
92%. But yet we sit here and we keep, right there's the problem. It's an easy way out for these kids, for a lot of them. And there's no accountability. So if you're a kid and you have a parent that doesn't necessarily really care what they do, and you have this opportunity here to have the easy way, what do you think a kid's gonna do at 15, 16 years old? They're gonna do that. They're gonna take the easy route.
I don't think we can fix that, though. It's not,
That's what I'm saying.
So-
You can sit here and hash it out all you want, but I'm saying 6.5 years of this. This is
Right.
this is what I've listened to.
but this is the first time in 6.5 years where we've explored an option to prevent the hemorrhaging of the kids.
We were going
going
to explore it 3 years ago and it never happened.
Well, I've only been on the board 2.5.
I'm just saying. Regardless.
But at least now I think we're looking in a direction of a way to,
Right.
if the kids want to go to cyber schools.
There ain't nothing you
least-
can do about it.
Right, but at least if we have an option to keep them in the district where they can still kind of do
I
that, then.
100% support it and think it's a great idea. And the more that we, as a district, can orient our kids into what they like to do and want to explore to do as a career. And if we can offer programs and give those kids whatever opportunities that they need to excel, we need to do it. That's our responsibility.
Now, on the flip side, what if we got 40 people back? Would that one counselor be able to take care of them?
That was my.
Yes.
Good discussions.
Okay.
Great.
Can I do this slide or do you want me to skip forward and push back?
You don't need to skip forward, nothing. When we
Instead
get
of
to it,
speeds,
we get
you're
to
good.
it.
Okay. I just want to put this out here, because there has been talks of building projects. So as a reminder, you have to build your mills before you do your full project and stuff. You want that built in. So, for a $10 million project to build our mills over 4 years, it's 0.14 for, each year. And that was information that we have received from Raymond James, on February 1st. So if we decide in the route of going a project, they will be here, but I did want to provide you with that information so that you have it and you're not surprised. And that was with an average coupon rate of 5%. So, I just want to let everyone know that that's where that stands and to be thinking about that as we're planning ahead. Millage history. It was also asked the last 10 years worth of millage history rates. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to provide you with where the rates have been.
So Brandy, from 14, 15, 23, 24. What was it, what does that total out to as far as what the taxpayers increase was?
2.85.
Yeah, I got.
266.
I have to do some help. I gotta find the calculator on my phone. I don't know what that is either.
2.66.
But you want.
Are you looking
how
at like
much for
dollar
an average
amount?
household?
I want to know what a household was paying based on what, 110,000?
we'll use 100 times 112 or 13 now, but. That's 2 months. $300.
$300.
You divide by.
What's going up $300 annually in the
No,
past
not
10 years?
annually,
Is that?
No, from
from 10 years ago.
Oh,
10
okay.
years ago to now, it's $300 is what,
Is the
It's just roughing it in real quick.
per year, or it's the
No,
whole?
from the whole 10 years.
Okay,
Okay.
so my next question is that between special education and the cyber charter schools from 14-15 till 23-24, what's that look like? What's the increase from 15 to 24?
I am going to have to put those together for you. I don't have.
I can tell you that
I know,
in
but
14-15, it was probably less than $200,000.
Oh, goods and, was there even? Let me think of 14.
And now you're at what, 1.8 million?
Per
1.6?
per year.
So. Yeah, in my own thoughts, I can say that from 14-15 to 23-24, who's suffered? It's our students. That's taking the blunt of this. And it's just not right. I've always said, I don't want to see anybody's taxes go up any more than anybody else's or what have you. You're third in the district, lowest. And that's after a high school building project that just occurred within the last 5-6 years. And you're still down at the bottom of the list.
So
our
how
cost
many,
per student is lower than a lot of districts.
What's that?
Our cost per student is lower.
What's our cost per student?
I don't have it. I just wrote it down here. I looked at it the other day.
and how many are on the list? Of schools?
It would be, I'm looking at Lycoming County. Yeah, I look at it.
When you look at it, do you know how many schools?
I think there's 7 of us. I don't know. There might be 8. Okay. Yeah, Jordan Shore, Williamsport, South Williamsport, Loyalsock, us, Montgomery, Muncie. Yes, East Lycoming. Yeah, so 8.
And I think we should also look at the point that when people look at districts to move to, they're not gonna pick the ones with the highest taxes usually. So being middle of the road and slightly underneath the middle isn't such a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing, but the thing of it is, if you continue to go the direction you're going and you're going backwards and you're not going forwards, and you can't implement the programs and the things that you would like to do to get more kids to come in, then you're just defeating the purpose.
I was just gonna say that, so.
You're not gaining anything by trying to keep your taxes as low as, yeah, I mean, the middle of the road or whatever. I mean, if we're the third lowest tax in the district, then what is that saying? And what are we offering and I mean, anybody who moves into this district, who goes anywhere that's the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna look and see what you have to offer my son or daughter.
I think we're doing well with what we offer,
I
considering where we are.
I am not disputing
That's
that
just
one
my,
bit.
that's my
not
personal
point.
opinion.
My point to the whole thing is that.
You can
there's a
always
lot of-
offer more, but it does cost.
It does cost, but and I never said it, this district doesn't do a good job in what they offer. I mean, you look at the things that they've developed and have implemented over the last 5-6 years, it's an awesome place to be.
Mm.
But I'm not going to sit here and say that we're in a good position to continue to, do what we're doing when we continue to see we're gonna take action and try to soften the blow a little bit.
But when you go from 2021 all the way to 23-24 with no change, then, you know, that's not.
Well,
That's
I was
not,
just
that's not
thinking-
moving forward.
If kids are looking for an easy way out, not that all kids in cyber are looking for an easy way out, but if that's what they're looking for, is that you said 60, 4%. So they get out of here, they get to see, some of them get to CCA, they do less, and then they don't graduate. Offering them more here isn't gonna keep them here.
No, but I'm
So-
not
but there's-
talking about that. I'm talking about the numbers that are up there.
Yeah.
And the increases in money. When you got two buildings, a lighter building and a Lowestoft Valley building that you got, Lowestoft Valley, you would easily spend $15 million to upgrade that place. You would easily spend another 10 million over here at Lighter. There's 25 million. Where's that gonna come from? And I'm being generous when I say, those numbers, because I can guarantee you that in today's world,
Everything's going up.
that might even be low.
That is low, because I was just gonna say, even from 2020, 21, when this first started happening and everything started escalating. Materials have gone up, interest rates have gone up, even from when this 2 years ago, last year. It's not going down, and it's not gonna go opposite. It's gotten exorbitantly high. I mean, to the point of almost ridiculousness, and it's not going the other direction. So the numbers we even have from last year, to your point, are not the numbers that we're gonna come in at in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, the 80s, 90s, the early 2000s, wherever, the 400 or 500 renovations that went on at the old high school. That all that did was do damage, in my opinion. I mean, it just destroyed it. And I do not want to be part of a board or on the board on my time and kick a can down the road and do something that is going to even worsen things as time marches on. And we, in my own opinion, we missed that window, to a point. We did in a way, but you can't go back on it now. But moving forward, I'm not gonna throw money at something that just doesn't make any sense to me, like to dump 25 million into two buildings that are, I don't know if that's kind of getting all tangent.
Maybe a little.
Well, no, it's not,
But,
because,
I mean, it's all reality.
but I don't think it is, because that's the crux of why a decision hasn't been made in the last 5 years when there's been proposals out there. Is that no one wants to do a tax increase.
But we
And
did,
so now we're gonna, a little one, but not enough to do a building
no, I'm
project.
just saying, that's less than a percentage point from 19 to 24.
Right, and so it's
So-
not enough to do a building project,
It's-
and
you
no
know,
one
so there
wanted
was
to go
no-
through the whole high school drama, and so now we're sitting here.
Right,
And it's gonna cost 2 to 3 times as much as it would have when the first proposals came out.
right. Because
And
if you would have took it in 18, 19 and
absolutely,
you would have done what you did and you did it not, maybe not at large numbers, but if you went from 18, 19 to this point, you would be looking at things a lot differently.
well, and had you done the building project at that point, it would have been a lot cheaper. But, so now we're at probably triple the cost of 5, 6 years ago, and it's definitively gonna have to be a tax increase, and we're gonna be the bad guys, but I've already put that chip on my shoulder and knew that when you came on the board,
Well,
and the decision has to get made.
as board members, we are here to serve our community, but first and foremost, it's the students.
Exactly, well, that's what, they've needed it 5, 6 years ago. Because everything has gone down.
Okay, I'm done.
Good discussion. No, so this is just the slide that I provided last time, in here, I gave you no increase, a 0.4 increase, and why we had picked the 0.4 increase was, year and a half ago, we added building security, but added no revenue in that for, in our budget to continue that on, so, that's kind of, we need that just to even carry the security moving forward. And the 0.5 6 increase was half of what is allowable, and the allowable is the 1.2. So I just threw those in there for you, so that you can take a look, discuss what you're thinking you would like to do, moving forward.
Quick about, how much was the building, that security was three something,
Three.
4,
It was,
okay.
it was close to 4, but it wasn't quite 4.
And that was last year, so is that what you're projecting over this year,
That was what it's going to be this coming.
this coming year? And that's for all the cars and everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments on that?
The only comment I would have is that with prior budget discussions, with the previous board, I had mentioned the fact that, a no tax increase for the previous year would come back to haunt the new one. And here we are. So
You did say.
congratulations. Exactly.
Because it multiplies, it just,
Correct.
it doubles each year.
And if you want to go out a hero because you're on a school board, and I didn't raise taxes, and you want to go around town and brag about that, you know, that's all fine. and
All you're
well.
doing is hurting.
But oh, here we are now. Okay? So I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so.
I've watched it for 6 years.
So what would you like us to bring back to you to vote on? We'll move forward with the cyber and charter thought,
I think we should.
because that's in this budget, that's shifting 6 kids worth of cyber money to a contract, to a
So
salary.
maybe
grade.
So
more, yeah.
you have that all under the 500s, right? That cyber's on. Is there any way we can get a breakdown of the 500s? Just that, I mean, to see like which, like, how much is going toward the special education kids and how, you know what I mean? So a breakdown of, because obviously we
thought
pay
we
out in the
provided
schools.
that.
There was a 500, but I mean a breakdown of underneath the 500. Do you see what I'm saying? You had 500 and we saw that, but I didn't.
I can't go to anything here, just, can I see this real quick? I just want, I thought I had that, but I may have just had it for myself. So, yes, your answer is yes,
Okay.
but I thought it was here already.
Yeah, no,
So-
it wasn't, there was an overall 500, but there wasn't a breakdown of the 500.
Well, it includes a lot of like small stuff, but your increases were there. I thought I had that, but I do not. Okay. But I mean,
Because I think that have that conversation too is sort of, and I do believe that we need to try to figure that out, but I just wanna,
it was overall, around $300,000 increase in the budget for
right.
cyber.
And I remember that. It's a big I just was curious just to see what the breakdown underneath the 500s looks like because there's an overall, obviously, bubble up of 500s, but there's obviously breakdowns underneath, so.
It's 360 some pages long, but yes. I can share it with you.
I'm okay. I work wonders with Excel. You'll be amazed what I can do with, I've had longer reports than
You're
that,
not
to be
gonna
honest
deter
with
her
you.
with it.
No, you're not really. I've
She'll
I've
love
done
it.
an entire
I love-
Salesforce
I
and
love it.
thousands of pages, so.
She'll love it.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Sharon, I have faith in you.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not, yeah. So I just sort of just wanted to see what like the breakdown is a little bit, and I agree, I just trying to figure like, okay, from a special needs perspective, how much are we paying now? And just sort of, I don't know.
So it's going to be harder for you to identify that with special needs because
Because it's broken under the same chart. So
It- no,
Commonwealth may
no.
have some,
for just charter.
just
schools.
charter, yeah.
Okay. So you just want the 500s for charters. Okay, that's, yeah, that's actually a real simple number to give you. I just have, I can't get into anything right now because
No,
I'm
you're
on
fine.
here.
You're fine.
So we need to go back to having a separate laptop of the presentation so I can look at things.
So you want more numbers? Anybody else need more numbers? To continue looking at that, cyber reduction with the person?
The only number I see is the 1.1 million that we spend on the cyber charter costs.
Okay, so we'll come forward with some type of proposal for that, and then in terms of budget. There are 4 options up there, anything in between, I mean, I don't know what you wanna see. In terms of us coming back with, what is?
I would
propose
go out and
final?
go to 0.56.
Our proposed finals coming next.
Yeah. So
So
May 14th. We
And
need
then-
to adopt the proposed final, and it has to come with something that's on that screen.
I would go with 0.56 to give us a jump.
Are there other, I wouldn't either, but are there other options between the 5.6 and the 1.1? Any number we want?
Any number.
Can we get something in the middle?
0.5.
Something in
It's
the
all
middle
up
of
to
those?
you.
Give us 0.5.
You can do any number you want. I will say, I will refer,
You wanna retract that?
Better speak.
I will refer to the 0.4 was to kind of solidify that the security's in the budget, it's being paid for now. And I will remind you that if we're doing a building project, we need to start building in that increase of 0.14. So I'll say like, those are kind of,
So
And that's-
0.4 pays for the budget the way it stands, is what you're trying to say.
That covers.
Because we're
covers the
over on the proposed budget. So 0.4 pays for the proposed budget. Is that what we're trying to say?
That covers the increase because of security.
That's-
so if we go with a 0.4 and there's no increase in state funding, we are still looking at a $1.2 million deficit at the end of the year.
We're still in the hole.
Yes.
There's no increase we can give that would be underneath the rate, and I'm not talking, I don't wanna like bury people, that we're on a balanced budget.
So, but we go back to the state funding, we still don't have our state funding numbers,
Right, but you're going
So-
off of what, are you,
what we're receiving this current school year.
right, so,
So that's guaranteed money.
right,
And there will be an increase.
But we,
You
Yeah.
don't know what.
right.
No, they have one on paper that's very good. We benefit from the new formula because we are underfunded. We rely so much on the local taxpayer, which isn't right. So in Lycoming County, our number's very good that's been proposed. But you can't count on that until it's passed.
and that's what we have to wait and see.
But we cannot, like you say, you cannot, like Sharon said, you cannot look at this and continue to,
No,
Go
because
the
it doubles
direction.
every year.
you know. So at $33 a household per year, is that right or wrong, Randy?
For what?
From 14 to 24, an average of $33 tax
Oh.
increase per year,
0.4. That's just a-
right? At $300 from 2000.
Yes, because it's 10 years, so yes.
I went 9, so
But-
that's a $33 a year tax increase for the average $110,000 home.
Yes. If we get the state funding, a 0.56 will help us build in for a building project.
Okay.
And that's on
And
a borrow
and
of
it
10
helps
million.
us-
That's
So-
not covering,
Yeah.
It's gonna be
that's,
more than
that's
10
borrowing
million.
10 million, so that is not covering a project. I don't want
Not
to.
at
Not
all.
even
Not
close.
even
Not
close.
even-
So I would.
And I don't wanna do
But I
it,
would
so
keep, you know,
the 1.12 is the
So-
max millage that you can go in the state, right? Isn't
Um,
that? And I'm not, what? Yeah, there's, they can match.
Yeah.
You know, the thing
And I'm
is,
not, I don't like the
is-
max.
but you'll have more light shed on things when they come back with their evaluation on what's going on out, you know, with their.
When are we gonna hear back from State Logic? That was what, 4 to 6 weeks?
They're working, yeah, they've got the, they have all the bills. They're sending a team out here soon
So when
to
will
evaluate the
we,
buildings.
when?
They don't have a firm date, I can get that.
That'd be great.
But they're working,
They are working,
they're working and
Yeah.
working on
yes.
getting us
And,
towards
and grants,
some answers.
we've talked to them about grants. Their idea was more to support us in writing the grants
Then doing them.
than action, yeah. And without, so the two new ones that are out, without knowing what we're doing, what do you ask for? I don't know where to go with that. You could do HVAC projects at both buildings, but that's all you're gonna get.
Right, but that's just,
And without a bigger picture decision,
Well, that's why sort of I'm asking a
Yeah,
question on State
so-
Logic too, is that we need to make a decision.
yeah, I don't think
And
that's
soon, because nothing's gonna go down in price. and
gonna
nothing-
happen. June, July, we might have some answers from them that will guide you towards an answer to that. But again, I don't know how solid that's going to be. I'm pulling enrollment figures together based on state projections. So you're gonna have lots of data to be able to make your decision, but I don't know how clear it's going to be for you. I just don't know. There are pluses and minuses to both. But you'll have plenty of data and we can have plenty of discussion to arrive at a decision that we really need to make
Mhm.
as a district to be able to move forward. Did have a meeting with Senator Yaw's office. They are pleased that we are, had a phone conversation with Penn Strategies. They're similar to GSL. They're pleased and encouraging us to continue talking to support for these grants, any and all grants that are out there. We will not be able to navigate those ourselves. They are cumbersome, they are political. And it was discussed, your thoughts of getting a line item in the budget for a project here. So that has been the ask of Senator Yaw's office. So there's movement, there are things happening, a lot behind the scenes, but it's gonna take some time to put some things together for you to make these final decisions. 10 million borrowing isn't gonna do it all, but it was what Raymond James provided. And it allowed us to give something as a way to build capacity towards a project. And frankly, I don't want to go out and borrow 20 or 25 million. It's gonna strap us in other areas with the current debt we already have. So we've got to be very smart and very careful with our dollars. We're in a spot.
The 5-6 is a good place to really start because you're not gonna come in with a balanced budget, but at least then you have your security built into your budget now. And we can start looking possibly at building project, but you're still not going to balance your budget at that. So do you want me to do like a 0.75?
what balances it? I mean, and I obviously, I'm
So
just curious, at what point do we hit a net zero?
It
of-
depends on what the state
getting-
gives us.
Right,
And
Listen, if you do 0.75 in next year, when it rolls around, that doubles. That amount doubles, right, Brandy?
it's already included in it.
It's
So
included, but if you don't, that's what happened. You didn't do it for 4 years. So
Right.
nothing happened.
right.
Everything stayed stagnant,
You can't do it every
and
year.
that's not a good thing.
No, I don't like, no,
But is it?
this is why I'm asking. I don't like to see the
It
one
can't be
point
every year either.
7.
It can't be every year either. We
When,
can't.
but
oh,
you
well,
have
we
to
need
get
more.
to zero at some point, right? And if you don't get close to zero at some point, somehow, and I'm not saying it's all tax, I don't like to operate a district fiscally in the red when you have a building project coming up. And when you have programs you want to offer your kids, because it's not gonna get better.
No, but there's always gonna be new programs, so at some point, I mean, you have to say like, no some years.
Right, and other programs go away, but at this point, as
Much further
is,
away.
we're not really putting anything in there, as is and
Everything just adds up.
stands. We're 1.7, almost 1.8 in the whole at a 0.56 increase, and I know it doesn't have state in there. But how much more, like, if you're in your guesstimate of what we have, it's still not gonna make, it's, but at 0.56, not gonna make it even, right?
But, okay, you gotta remember, it has that budgetary reserve in there, and our goal is to not spend
Right,
that budgetary reserve.
right, but if something happens, you need to have a budgetary reserve.
Correct.
It's supposed to say.
Okay.
Done with that.
So, but you try to get through it without that, so that,
So then you're only at 1.1. So
Right.
let's just take that up, but you're still at 1.1 in the whole.
And
Do we think the
if the
projected
state comes
state
through,
will that put us at 1.1?
It'll put us very close.
Very
Okay,
close.
that's,
I mean, do you wanna do a 0.6 for the preliminary to give you cushion?
Because explain this to me, they can come down from this number in the final,
But we don't go up. We
it
will
can't
not,
go up. So whatever comes to you at the next meeting,
we will not increase.
you can't go above that, but you can. Do I have that correct?
I guess you can, I thought we couldn't. From talking with colleagues, you can go up from that, but that would be very poor practice.
That's not.
And I would not recommend that.
But we can decrease. This is telling people this would be the
This is the maximum
max.
amount that we would even consider going up for this year.
so you're talking when you submit, right?
So,
Are you talking, like, so right now, do we have to make that decision of putting the 0.6 in there so
so
that?
what I'm saying is, I'm going to bring to you at the next meeting, a proposed final.
Okay, that's what, all right, gotcha.
Yep.
I understand now what you're, okay,
And that,
I got you now. I understand what you're saying.
It's guesstimating what the state is gonna do.
And you can, I get what you're saying now. So if you put the top of what we're thinking, we can always go down from there.
Right.
But we can't go up from there.
right,
All right. Okay, right.
so you guys are thinking 0.75.
I would say that because we can go lower. if we need to, so.
Okay? You're not calling me on this one?
Yeah, I agree with it.
Okay,
You're not gonna go 5.0 or anything.
But we can, because we can always go down to
Right, yeah.
0.5, right? So I'd rather have it come in at 0.75 and see where we're at.
okay,
And then if we have to go down, if we can, we can.
So we will bring a proposed,
hopefully with more updates too.
proposed final.
Because even if you look at that, it's about $100. On quick math. Because every time you're running about, like, point was, I think it's about, if the impact's gonna be about $100.
We will prepare that and I will, give you any other updates that we get along the way. I'll have that for you at the board meeting. I made some notes here of some stuff that you requested, so I will get those added in as informational slides as well. And I will basically take my last presentation, update it, add this presentation in with it, so you have everything in one presentation, so that we can just keep building on it. We may skip through some stuff real quick, but this allows.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great discussion.
Yeah, that's the timeline.
All right. I'm moving on to public comment, the last public comment of the day. This is again is for residents and taxpayers to comment on matters of concern of official action or deliberating before the board. Anybody in the room?
Ron Snell, Lower Manor Road. Two things. The first thing is, while there are kids that elect to go to cyber charter that are looking for an easy way out, that isn't always the case.
Right.
And I would say the majority of the kids that we have in cyber, that's not the case. I believe that it was mentioned, did we look at what causes kids to go to cyber? I know for a fact, some kids go to cyber because of bullying. And it's not always kids that are bullying them. It's teachers, which it isn't a lot, but there are teachers that bully kids from time to time. The other thing is, those numbers Brandy showed a tax increase 8 out of 10 years. That $300 you're saying that increased in 10 years on taxes was for a average $110,000 home. You got to take into considerations, there's what, 3 or 4 trailer courts that bring that average way down. $110,000 home nowadays, there's not very many homes, not trailers, homes, they're $110,000. So when you say that, and you said with that millage rate, it'd raise $100, that's on a $110,000 home. So the majority of the homes in our community aren't $110,000 homes.
But the people that have $110,000 homes are paying that amount, correct?
Real property.
Is that correct,
It's a set side.
Randy?
That is correct.
Okay,
I'm
that's
saying,
okay.
but there isn't very many homes that are $110,000 homes. So that increase isn't going to be $100 for most people.
Not, I wouldn't say most people, but the people who can't afford it, that can't afford it, are not looking at a huge increase.
I
don't know how you
I
can't
don't
see
understand how you figure that. Because if you have a house that's assessed at $250,000 and maybe, you know, the way the economy is, the way COVID affected people.
All right, Mr. Snell, you're three minutes
Time's
up.
up.
If you guys want to have a conversation afterwards, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
All right, seeing no one else in the room, we'll go to Zoom. If anyone has questions, comments, not questions, but comments, please raise your hand. All right, Corey Flick.
Hi, good evening. Corey Flick, 315 Cypress Street. I did the math on the tax increase last week and I can't find it, but it wasn't anything eye-opening as far as raising taxes and the impact financially. Tax or
Corey, we can't hear you. I don't know if you're talking, if you got your mute on or not, but.
can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
All right, Mr. Flick, we can't hear you if you are talking.
Can you hear me?
Looks like everything's gonna. He's gone. He's gone. All right,
Oh, Richard could hear Corey.
oh, Richard could hear Corey. Okay. I wonder why we couldn't.
Ask Richard what the question was.
Yeah, maybe.
See under participants.
That's it. All right, well, I haven't seen him sign back in, so we'll continue on. If there are no other comments, then we'll accept motions to adjourn.
I would like to comment on the assessed value.
Okay.
To clear up some confusion there. So the average household, actually I use the median to determine, where the average household is. And, it's based off of assessment. Assessments haven't changed in about 15 years, and there is a countywide reassessment in conversation right now, but that doesn't mean that taxes will go up. So what happens with that, it resets everything. So it would be based on zero increase across the board and then move from there. Because there's a lot of confusion about that, but it's based off of assessment, it's not based off of market value. And when people buy houses, it does not change your assessed value. So we do, I will get the properties in each, area so that you can see how many, properties we have that are in what area of assessments.
When are they thinking of redoing the assessment?
It's a couple year project, so
It's already been passed.
but it takes, it will be 3 or 4 years before we see
Okay.
it, like,
Fruition.
yeah, because it takes quite a while to do. Did they passed it then, the reassessment? Okay. Okay, so, we will, but that changes everything and everything resets at that point. So what you're paying for taxes now, or not now, but at that time, right before the reassessment, that becomes your base and then it builds off of there. Right. So the last time we had one, I think was 2005 or 2006 or something. And it reset. So you saw in our millage rate, it was up higher and then it dropped way down. Because the assessment makes your millage rates drop.
Right.
So, I just want to clear it up. It is not off of market value. It is off of assessed value. So. And I think that goes to what you were saying.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to make sure you.
All right, take motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.